The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Guys up, Jitty up. Welcome to Last Call of the Day. This is the Failure to Stop channel, the #1 show where police meet society and culture. Today's episode, it's Last Call Thursday, baby, giving you all the other news out there so that you don't sound like a weird first responder at the neighborhood barbecue. Gives you something else to talk about other than dead babies and domestic violence. Joined with me, as always, is Dead Leg Media, our head researcher for the channel here. Always love having him on. You know, I said you do so much behind the scenes and you explained to me all of the details of all of these cases that you might as well just come on the show with me sometimes. So that spawned in him being with me every Thursday. And so, as always, Dead Leg, it's always great to have you. We've got a lot to talk about today. And first and foremost, we're I got to tell you who today's show is brought to you by. Got to get that out of the way right quick. And that's Ghostbed, baby. Ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. Right now, they have a President's Day sale. And the President's Day sale is just a little bit better than the Wolfpack sale is typically. So I think that's still running this whole week. I've already gotten some phone calls from people who said, hey, I used the promo code Wolfpack and it didn't give me as good a deal as on the President's Day sale. And that's because they can't just like rechange overnight the promo codes for everybody. But it's okay. You can still use the President's Day sale, save that extra 5% more. Just drop our name in the customer survey if you would. Failure to Stop. That goes a long way for us. But if you're not sleeping on a ghost bed, how are you even sleeping, baby? Today, we're talking about, we got a lot going on in the news today. A lot of fun and flirty news. We haven't done this in a while, but we haven't done movie reviews and coming out movies. So I want to go over some new movies. If you're not taking your significant other to the movies, you're not taking your kids to the movies, you should, because it's always a magical time. We don't want to lose that. Hopefully, we learned that lesson during COVID. You never know what you don't have until you don't have it anymore. And one thing I missed during COVID was I never go to the movies. But when I couldn't go to the movies, I really wanted to go to the movies. Deadleg and I were talking before the show, and there is so many good movies coming out in 2023, including one that I could really use some of right now. That's Cocaine Bear. We're going to talk about Cocaine Bear because it looks like literally, and I'm not joking when I say this, but Cocaine Bear does appear to be the movie of the decade. I'm talking this is going to be like The Wedding Crashers or the Out Cold, or the Old School. Remember the movie Old School? This has got everybody in it. Pineapple Express. It's got it all, and it looks way more entertaining. So we're going to get into that. A couple of other movies as well. Big giant earthquake in Turkey that's fucking everything up. Biden's in Ukraine. Is he in Ohio? No, he's not. He's in Ukraine. We'll talk about why he's in Ukraine and not in Ohio. We'll go through that. That's big news there. And then, we'll get into a little bit more about my rant last week. I blew up and exploded because of the lack of information and the amount, the lack of real information and the overwhelming amount of propaganda that's being put out there really pissed me off last episode. But I did a whole week worth of research to give out some real facts. It's not propaganda. And you can kind of do the math. If you would, you could do your own math there. So we should be doing anyway with all the news. How are you doing today, Dead Leg?
It's another day in paradise. We might get a bunch of snow starting tonight.
I heard that March is actually going to be very, very cold, colder than usual for the East Coast. Right now, bro, I am shorts. I went running today with no shirt on with my son. My son was wearing a tank top. It is beautiful. 72 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. Gorgeous.
I think it'll be the low 50s today, and then by Tuesday. So by Thursday, because we're recording this a little early, so by Thursday it'll be like -17.
That sucks. I have no idea what it's going to be here on Thursday. It's been a hell of a weekend for me. Just to give you guys a quick recap. Also, the book is coming out. Jack Mandeville, the old Jack Mandy, gave us a review for the book, and I'm so stoked. It was such a wonderful review. So that's going to make the back of the book. Just waiting on Jason Ralph and Breaking Benjamin to send me his review. But I got Mike the Cop, Officer Daniels. He's got a review coming. So I'm really excited, getting real close with the book stuff there. My kids' podcast, absolutely blown up, out of control. Grommet Vomit. We're super proud of them. We locked in a huge deal with Coastal Edge. So we're actually going to Virginia Beach. They're rolling out a merch line for the kids. They've got Ryan Sheckler old Ryan Sheckler. Remember Ryan Sheckler? Big
Yep.
pro skateboarder. Also had his own TV show. Now he has his own TV channel, Red Bull Network. I think he's got something to do with that. Plus he got his own skate parks. But they got Ryan Shecks on tomorrow. There's a big Grom meetup in Virginia Beach. They're doing pizza and everything to celebrate it. And it's pretty cool when shit like that's going down, and it's your kids that are the face of it.
It's even cooler, like that, because I know that you're in a skate. Like I did the BMX side of things, so I wasn't like in the skating thing, but I was aware of like Tony Hawk and Ryan Sheckler. I when we were talking about that, and you told me, I was like, that's huge. Like it's amazing what they're doing.
Dude, we went to a skate park in Florida. We skated in Wilmington, North Carolina for a contest in Wilmington, had a great time, met a lot of cool people there. Then we had a skate event in Florence, South Carolina. And at every event, people are coming up. Man, we love your podcast. We love you guys. We love your kid. Not my podcast. My kids are coming. Awesome. Like, how did you guys get in? Like, my kids are like walking around at like 10 years old. Like, oh, like people are getting pictures with them. And it's just really special. So I'm glad that they're getting to share that kind of experience at such an early age. And that's fun. So we're going to have fun. We're leaving tonight. So Jonathan Bates and Andrea will be doing night shift. And of course, I'll be trying to watch it on my phone. But tomorrow is a big day for us. So not only are they rolling out like a private merch line for my son and his buddy JB too, but they're doing a photography for it. They've got a little kiosk in the mall and in the little surf shop there. Man, it's just really cool. So they're going to go
That's cool.
shirts with their names on it, in an actual retail store and get pictures. And my son made it into a magazine this week. So we're going to pick up a whole stack of magazines. So hopefully he'll be, passing out his magazine with his picture in it. I'm sure that, some kids will want him to sign it, and that's going to be real cute. And, it's pretty cool. Davey in the live chat says Sheckler had his own house when he was 15 or 16 years old. No, he was 18, I believe. I do believe he was 8. He might have been 16, but I think he was 18, and he did buy his own house. And it was like a 3-story massive house.
It was him, Deirdre, they all about the same time got houses.
Yeah, I mean that they had the whole Ryan's World or whatever it was, Sheckler's World or World of Ryan or whatever it was on MTV. So, to even get to be with Ryan Sheckler and this kid named Wyatt Hammond, who's the new like phenomenon skateboarder. I think he's 9 years old. He's doing like 12-stair rails already. Sponsored by he's already a team rider for like Etnies and everything else. So the fact that my kids are going to get to sit with those two guys tomorrow and do a podcast is really special. So, that's a lot of traveling for me because 2 hours to Wilmington, followed, got home at midnight, turned around the next day, woke up, drove 3 hours to Florence, South Carolina, got home at midnight, woke up this morning, got to work this morning and driving 3 more hours to Virginia Beach. A lot of going on with the kids, but I wouldn't want to have it any other way. You know what I mean? Invest in your children and you'll feel good about yourself, but I can't wait to have people. What's up?
You always be able to look back. Like I remember when I was in high school, I wasn't like a super smart kid, but I got into this medical program and it was the
Obviously,
first year
because you became
for
a cop.
Yeah. And so like they made a big to-do of it. So like I have some magazines and some stuff for some pictures and stuff from when I was a kid from back then. So like it's kind of cool to now have it come, like not come full circle, but to see like the other end of it. So yeah, that's awesome that they're
cool.
having that success.
I'm pumped for him. Davey in the chat says he was still in high school when he bought it in South Orange County, California. I'll take your word for it. I don't know. I didn't watch it. Look, I'm not the one that has to do the research. My kids have to do the research. I just sit back and be entertained. So
ask them tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sure the kids will, dude. The crazy thing is that both these kids are 10 years old, and they are both homeschooled. And so part of their homeschool is doing these book reports on these guests before they have them on. They had Ben Gravy, pro surfer, on. They've had Rob Machado, a couple of Olympians. They just had a snowboarding girl that would just, she's on the Do Tour and just did the Red Bull Rail Jam in Michigan. And so they got to do their like little report on these people, and then they interview them. And I mean, dude, it's magic watching a 10-year-old kid. I mean, Ben Gravy is probably one of the most famous surfers right now. He's a YouTube vlog star. He vlogs his whole professional surfing career. And my kids always start the show off. They always start off with, what do we call you? Do we call you Mr. Gravy, Mr. Ben? And the guy was like, call me whatever you want. And he's like, all right, mashed potatoes and gravy. And I was like, what the fuck? You can't say that, but it's cute, man. They're so sincere, and their questions are, they asked the snowboarding girl. He was like, my son was like, do you like hot chocolate before you snowboard, or do you like coffee? She's like, oh, I like hot chocolate. And he's like, me too. I like hot chocolate too. And it's just like they go down this whole hot cocoa like. It's just so innocent and great. So if you want to cheer yourself up, there's nothing but joy in that podcast, and it's a good break from all the other shit, and your kids will love it too. So it's called Grommet Vomit, Grommet Vommit. But today, dude, I hope I get some time, maybe on Sunday at some point. But there's some new movies out. I want to get into this really quick before we dive into the big news, because the movies that are coming out this week are top tier. First one I already mentioned, Cocaine Bear. What do you know about that?
Based on a true story.
Based on a true story about a man who was jumping out of an airplane. He bailed out of an airplane with a parachute?
So there was two guys, a former narcotics officer and a Kentucky-based drug smuggler by the name of Andrew C. Thornton II. And they were flying back from Colombia in a Cessna 404 Titan. They were dropping a shipment off. They dropped a shipment off in Georgia, and they were flying to Knoxville.
So this is illegal, right? Like these are like, this is a narcotics officer gone bad.
Yep. Found out that you can make way more money on the other side of the fence.
Dope. Literally dope.
Retirement's not as great, but way more money. So somewhere in the flight, they dropped about 40 plastic containers of cocaine into the wilderness before abandoning the plane somewhere above Knoxville. They say abandoned. They both jumped out. One of them was killed because their parachute didn't open, and that doesn't say what happened with the other one. The bear consumed 34 kilograms, that's 75 US pounds, valued at $2 million. $2
million worth of coke, dude. It's fucking like Tommy Lee, dude.
Like, just imagine Scarface, but instead of Scarface, it's just a
black bear, like an Appalachian black bear.
175-pound bear. So the crime lab, they found the bear dead. And the crime lab, they said that for sure it overdosed on cocaine, but they estimated only 3 or 4 grams made it into the bloodstream before it died.
Oh.
And that's kind of where there's a little bit of more story. The bear's body, they put it on display someplace, and then it went away for a while, and they didn't know
found
where
it in
went.
A pawn shop. They found the stuffed thing at a pawn shop or something.
Yep, found it in a pawn shop, and country singer Waylon Jennings bought it and owned it for a little bit of time. And then it's currently on display. You can go see it today. There's a picture of it here in Lexington, Kentucky, at the Kentucky for Kentucky Fun Mall.
Dude, we gotta go see it. I bet you after that movie, everybody goes and sees that fucking thing. We gotta do a meetup in Lexington. I wonder how far that is from I Am Pitts. But that is incredible. I am beyond stoked to go see this movie. But this is, bro, look, we give first responders, if that's all you need for the weekend barbecue. You just heard the whole story of Cocaine Bear. There is a bear that got jacked up on a whole shitload of cocaine and died. But this movie, who has everybody in it, a lot of my favorite actors, like my favorite comedian actors, are in this movie.
Ray Liotta's in it.
Yeah, Ray Liotta's in it. I mean, he's in a lot of those fucking crazy B movies too. But there's like the dudes from Modern Family are in it. Super funny.
There's the actor that was in The Wire. The one guy I was talking about, he's
TikTok
in it.
guy. Did you see the TikTok guy that he does the video where where he's in the Lowe's and you remember it was the famous TikToks where they would ask him a question. He'd be like, I don't know, Sarah. I don't know. I just work here. You know, like I think I give a fuck. I make $7 an hour, bitch. You know, like you remember those videos?
No, I haven't seen. I'm not a big TikToker. I don't have TikTok.
Well, it was on Instagram. It was all over social media, but it was like it would be like. It would like have a customer survey where it would be like, do you have any of this? And it would be like, and he'd be like, I don't know, Karen, do I fucking have any of that? It was like super funny. He's actually in this movie. So there's a lot of like really funny people in this movie. And it looks really well made. It doesn't look like Sharknado. Like it doesn't look like all computer anime. It looks just freaking awesome, dude. It really does. The trailer just got me jacked, bro. Like I'm all in on this Cocaine Bear. I need some cocaine this morning. I'm dying. I'm so tired.
Like if you go and watch the trailer, the first time you watch it and you go back and go, is that the trailer? That was actually the trailer. Because the first time that I seen it, it was in an ad and I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
And then somebody else told me about it, and I was like, okay. So then I started looking into it. I was like, holy crap,
Yeah.
this is going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing because you can only imagine what that bear was like before it died.
So the actual story that says what happened between the time that it ingested the cocaine and when it died is unknown, and they don't know for sure. They don't have any reported deaths or injuries or anything that came along with it. So there is that liberty has been taken in the movie, but a 175-pound American black bear overdosed on 34 kilograms of cocaine.
Yeah, baby. I like it. I like it a lot.
If you're gonna go out, that's the way to go out. Make it expensive.
That's the way I want to go, baby. That's the way I want to go. I want to be an apex predator for just a few minutes, man. Like give me a bunch of coke and a cell full of pedos. Just let me go fucking
Just
nuts.
go crazy.
Just let me go savage until I die, baby. Let me go savage. I'm excited about Cocaine Bear, man. I'm gonna go see the movie, and then we're gonna talk about the movie. Maybe we should. I'll try to do something with the private group. Maybe we can like all plan to go see it, and then that way we can all talk about it in Discord afterwards. Like make our own little Discord about it. That'll be super fun. But another movie that's coming out here pretty soon that looks really fucking good is not the new Magic Mike. There is a new Magic Mike coming out though, by the way. It's Magic Mike's Last Dance. I'm not gonna go see it. I might wait until it comes out on Netflix though. But 80 for Brady, bro. Have you seen the trailer to 80 for Brady?
Nope.
So it's about these 80-year-old chicks who are obsessed with Tom Brady, and they're all like the super funny women from like the early 80s.
Jane Fonda, Sally Field.
Yep.
I haven't pulled up, or I have the cast pulled up here.
Yeah, Rita Moreno. Of course, Tom Brady's in it. Lily Tomlin or Lou. Harry Hamlin.
Gronk's in it.
Gronkowski. Oh, dude, I watched the trailer to this shit, dude. It looks hilarious. It looks really, really funny, really well made. Yeah, it's gonna be a good movie. 80 for Brady.
Glad that movies are getting back to being good again.
Yeah, and there's original. Like this isn't like a remake. You know,
Yep.
like we went through. It feels like we've gone through like 5 years of nothing but remakes.
It's the same
or like
stuff.
sequels. You know.
Yep.
Top Gun 2, like revisited. You know, all these are original OG movies, and they look like they're going to be really, really, really good. So, I'm excited for that one. And then there's another one coming out that looks like a little bit weird. If you're into like weird like Marvel movies, but Quantum Mania, Ant-Man and Wasp. I'm not into it anymore. I'm done.
Because you almost need to get a degree in the Avengers universe. Like you have to go to college for the Avengers to be able to. This is this timeline, and this is where this movie lines up. I mean, I'll watch the movies, and I'll enjoy the movies when I watch it. But beyond that, I don't. That's where it ends.
Yeah. All Quiet on the Western Front was remade. It was really, really good. I've already seen that. Yeah. Anyway, so go to the movies. Treat your girl to a nice movie. There's a bunch of new movies out, man. A man called probably not gonna go see that actually. Oh, and it's the Titanic 25th anniversary remastered. So wonder if her tits look any better remastered.
So here's
I might
something
have to remasturbate to that scene. If you know what I mean.
Here's a funny thing about that scene. So if you think about it, and the character that she portrayed was a 17-year-old girl. So that scene, she was technically 17.
Okay.
So Titanic is celebrated around for child porn.
Yeah, but she wasn't 17. She showed her
The actress wasn't, but the actual person, but the character.
Fuck, does that make me a pedo for jerking off? Well, no, because I didn't jerk off when I was an adult. I was probably in middle school when that movie came. No, I was in high school when that movie came out. So I was still good.
I think we were in middle school, like 8th.
I fell asleep in that movie. I went and saw it with my mom. I fell asleep in the theater, and I woke up when my mom like smashed her hand over my eyes to like cover my eyes during the nude scene that I didn't even know was coming. And I'm like, whoa, and I like move my mom's hand, and I just see a glorious set of yayas. And I was like, whoa, like now I was instantly awake for the rest of the movie. And then I laughed hysterically when that dude fell and then hit the propeller. I was like, and then flipped. I lost my shit in the theater. My mom was like, stop it. What's wrong with you? Oh,
the very first time that we went to go see it, I went with my mom and it was sold out. So we went and watched Good Will Hunting instead. And I don't like
it's a good movie.
A middle schooler watching that. I hated it. All I remember was every other word was fuck. I need to go to Boston, and if I do, I need to say fuck a lot. That's what I got out of it. But then going back as an adult and watching it, like, man, that's an amazing movie. You're an idiot when you were a kid. You don't know anything.
Yeah, you don't know anything. I got a crazy story about Schindler's List, but I can't say it here. I save that for my comedy nights. My stand-up comedy.
For the meetup, April 12th.
Yeah, maybe I'll do a little stand-up for the April 12th. But there was a thief, and I don't know if you saw this, but this was in London. A man with prosecutors said broke into a UK industrial park to steal 200,000 chocolate Easter eggs, Cadbury eggs. He already pled guilty to the theft and the criminal damage. Do you know how much 200,000 chocolate Easter eggs is worth?
Well, if it's $1 a piece, it's at least $200,000. So I'm gonna go simple math: $500,000 to $750,000.
I don't know. Well, one, how many pounds do you think that is?
Well, if it was 200,000 that he took, right?
Cadbury eggs, yeah.
So if they sell them for $1 a piece,
but they don't. It was worth $38,000.
Oh,
it was 31,000 pounds worth $38,000.
So when you get prosecuted in bulk, you get bulk prosecution pricing.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
the value decreases in your estimates when you go for prosecution when you deal stuff in bulk.
But why? Why do you want to? I mean, that seems like a lot of work. Like, is there an underground market for Cadbury eggs?
What's the like?
The Cadbury, do they have the fucking cream in the middle?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like, but my thought process would be, what's the intent? What's the end goal? Are you going to resell them? Or are you going to just
market, trying to jack the prices way up? Like, what's going on?
Like, all? Do you have the competitor? Is like the British Cadbury eggs, or have a competitor or something?
So he broke the lock on the gate, and then opened the gate, jumped into the truck that had a trailer containing 31,000 pounds of Cadbury eggs on it.
Okay, so
no, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It contained 31,000 pounds, which is $38,000 worth. Fucking C student over here. I saw pounds and I thought, wait, no, that means money. $38,000 worth of Cadbury eggs, 200,000 Cadbury eggs on there. And he had planned the theft and that he had previous convictions for handling stolen goods. So it's not his first time. But he gave up without a fight. And that's the story. It doesn't say why. It doesn't say why he did it.
I can't imagine that gets a lot of cred in jail either. What are you in for? Oh, I shot my teacher. Oh, what are you in for? Oh, I stole 8 cars. Oh, what are you in for? Remember that dude that stole all those Cadbury eggs?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're looking at him right here.
Yeah. You know, it's like, I'm doing time for trafficking. What were you trafficking? 200,000 Cadbury
chocolate eggs.
Not even, it's all fucking milk chocolate, man. I hate milk chocolate. I have chocolate all day, dude.
Like I'm not a big sweet my wife will say the otherwise, but like I'll have stints of sweet stuff. Like I'll just be like, all right, now I want sweets, and I'll have sweets for like a week or two, and then after that I'm like, I'm done, I'm over it, and I won't have it for like 2 or 3 months.
Man, I love me some dark chocolate, dude. I love dark chocolate. But yeah, we got next up in the weird news, and then we'll jump on the more serious shit. But woman was flying, and she was in the Detroit, I guess, airport in Detroit, Michigan, the Detroit Metropolitan Airport, and customs found a baby dolphin skull in her luggage. Now, they're making a big to-do about this. I don't think she killed the fucking dolphin. Do you know how many dolphin skulls or like washed up weird shit? When I used to live on the ocean my entire life, I grew up living very close to the beach, went to the beach every day almost. and worked on a deep sea fishing boat and worked on the dock for many years, all through high school and such. So, but I mean, dude, there's like dead sea turtles on the beach. Like, I've seen a girl. I've seen a girl cut the head off a dead sea turtle off because she wanted the skull. I don't know that it's that big of a deal. I get it. You're not allowed to possess that because, then there would be a poaching type deal. But I guarantee you this chick had no idea that was a law. And I know that ignorance isn't an excuse, but
because when it comes to prosecution, they look for intent.
right.
So they'll ask, what's the intent behind, like, is she that's like this one of 30s that she has like 29 others in her collection, or is this like, oh, I was on a vacation someplace and I found this and I'm bringing it back?
Yeah, like I found in Afghanistan, we were doing a reconnaissance mission of a ridge line, and we got up there because there were some fighting positions that some helicopters or some aircraft, I don't know which kind of aircraft, but it spotted like some fighting positions. So we put together this huge ordeal op order to try to go up there and see what this is. And, it could be the next Hamburger Hill or it could be nothing, And we actually get up there and there's fighting positions and there's like a trench and there was like glass bottle IVs, like saline bottles, like the old glass ones.
Yeah.
There was gauze and bandages everywhere. There was boots. There was like cut off jackets that were all like rotted away. Like there had been like some kind of like Russian battle up there, probably in the 70s, late 70s.
That's
crazy shit. And I found a helmet with a bullet hole in it and a petrified brain still in the helmet, or at least that's what we thought it was, a petrified brain. But there was like a petrified mold inside of this, like a cask, like of a brain inside of this. It almost looked like a bird's nest, but it's not. You know what I mean? And so I dumped it out of the helmet and we cleaned up the helmet, but it definitely had a bullet hole like straight through the helmet. And I was going to bring that home because I just thought this is the coolest thing in the world. And the customs took it away because they said it was a war trophy.
When was this?
2005 is when I would have found it.
Yeah. Like 04 is when customs really started cracking down on things. Like 04, like, because we got a lot of stuff through in 04.
Right.
That they didn't get through in 05 because they're like, well, we got this through last year.
Yeah, like rugs and shit. They were like cracking down on how many rugs you could send home.
DVDs were a big one.
Oh, yeah, that was right. Because you could get like 30 DVDs on one DVD in Afghanistan, like all new release movies.
And they're like, there's like the like it was all copies. So sometimes it was either a copy of the actual movie or it's some dude
somebody in the theater.
You hear people coughing and stuff. The subtitles, or it'll be like in Turkish or be like in some Arabic something, and then you've got like the English subtitles on it.
Oh yeah.
I've still got DVDs from back then, from way back then.
Dude, I bought a porn when I was over there. It was like a whole bunch of different porns on one porn DVD. And we were going through it, and there was this one porn where this chick dies by getting fucked by a horse. And I'm scarred for life. Like, it was like, what the fuck?
We didn't have any of that. I was over there in 03 and 04. So it was all like the beheading stuff because that was what's big was back then.
Yeah.
But that was more like it wasn't something that you shared on DVDs. It was like intel briefings that you're like, hey, don't get caught because they're going to take your head off kind of deal.
Well, yeah, we saw those videos too. Yeah, dude, because you never knew what you were gonna get. Like sometimes you'd buy a DVD and you'd think it's gonna be Fast and Furious 2, and it's Fast and Furious porn edition.
You get you find one little kid, like because I don't know where we got them from, like the bazaars. We go like
that's what we do. Yeah, we go to like the bazaar and
yeah. And if you found like the guy or the kid, because it was usually kids that we had the best ones. So like some like teenagers or like young 20-year-old somethings, but they usually had the best ones. And you find like the ones like, oh yeah, you keep going to that one because they get the good ones and then they get a bad one or whatever. Or they just stop showing up. That happened a lot too.
Oh, those are the good days. Those are the good old days. Speaking of like 2005 Afghanistan, I was in a tent and I was in a bee hut, like it was like a plywood hut, and I was in the hut and it started to shake, and I thought somebody grabbed like a forklift and was picking the hut up, to like do something with it. And so I'm screaming, I'm yelling, I'm like, I'm still in here. What the fuck? And it was like moving, and I had to get out of my chair and like crawl on the floor because I couldn't stand up because it was shaking. It was moving. It was like it literally felt like if you've ever driven a Bobcat and you don't have the throttle just right, and you're like moving, it's like herky jerky. Like I was getting like jerked around in this thing, and couldn't find out it was like this massive earthquake that was happening, and we were feeling the after effects of it. The real one was in Pakistan, and it killed like I want to say like 75,000 people or something like that, dude. It was huge. It was like one of the biggest catastrophic. I
think I remember that.
Like, yeah, I do. Maybe it was more than 75,000. It was like a lot of people died, dude. A lot of people died. It was like October 2005 in Pakistan, I think.
October 8th.
October 8th.
And it says estimated 69,000 to 75,000 injured. An estimated 86,000 to 87,000 were dead, and 2.8 million were displaced. It was a magnitude 7.6.
Yeah. So we were like right on the border. Yeah. And that was crazy. So I just saw in the news that Turkey's obviously been getting just ransacked by these
earthquakes and aftershocks.
And so now they've had another aftershock, which was a 6.4 magnitude. And one of the interesting things I saw about this article was that because of the last one that like injured, like, where we saw all those buildings collapsing last week, that in this one, everybody was like, nope, fuck it. And everybody ran out of their houses and into the middle of the streets. So that's why a lot of people are dead for this one, because nobody wanted to stay put because they were all afraid that the buildings were going to collapse it like they did last week.
So damned if you do and damned if you don't, I guess.
Right.
I've often wondered, I've never felt an earthquake. I've experienced a lot. I've never been in a hurricane. I've been in some really bad storms. I've seen tornadoes and stuff like that, but I've never felt an earthquake. So I can't imagine being in that.
It's bizarre.
Because you question how solid that foundation is that you're still in.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say. They say to like get underneath a table or get underneath a desk. Shit's gonna like fall and collapse. But it's wild, dude. I was in that little bee hut, man, and I literally and then like everybody had like come out because most everybody was in tents, but I was just in this bee hut because that's where you had like where you kept like equipment and gear. And so like I guess everybody else was just like standing on the ground, and so they knew it was an earthquake, right? Because obviously a forklift's not going to pick up the ground. But like I'm in this bee hut, so I thought somebody was trying to fucking move the hut. So I'm like, I come out and I'm like, who the fuck is moving the hut? Like acting off,
ready to get in a fight with somebody.
Right. And like everybody's just like hiding up underneath the everybody's like coming out like, whoa, what the fuck, just crazy stuff. So anyway, my heart goes out to Turkey, man. It's wild though. I feel like these earthquakes are almost apocalyptic at this point. I mean, we had a whole bunch last week. Brazil got smoked, I think. Syria got one. I mean, there was like 12 countries.
It's a bunch of them. Because I wonder if it's because it'll come once, like with earthquakes. Usually, once one triggers, you'll get like the big aftershocks. You'll get them for quite some time because everything has to settle now.
Yeah.
So then that settling could be like, okay, well, this settled over here, but it triggers this stuff over here to now want to move. So then it'll cause other earthquakes, other places.
Hydroman says that he's felt one in North Carolina. When I first moved to North Carolina in about 2010 or 2011, there was an earthquake that happened in Kentucky that we felt here in North Carolina. And my wife thought there's something wrong with the fireplace because the fireplace was rattling. She was like, why is this thing rattling? And it went on for like over a minute. But I was working at a wine store at the time. This is when I just got in the military. Before I became a cop, I tried to be a wine salesman. Didn't work out because I was a shitty salesman. But all the wine bottles were like, and I was like, what kind of like haunted satanic shit's going on in here? But I didn't feel the ground to move. But obviously it was moving. So yeah, those earthquakes are pretty weird, man. It's pretty wild shit. My studio is right near a train depot. So, my whole studio will shake every couple hours. And
it's crazy
you know,
how much the ground, like when you think about like the earth, like how much it actually moved. Like we think we're solid, but we're really not.
yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it, man? It's like a lot of bizarre stuff. Science is a bizarre thing. And speaking of science and bizarre things, there's new news coming out about the balloons that were shot down, which we got to get into here now. Is these balloons are now like research balloons. That a lot of them weren't even spy balloons. Like the one was a spy balloon, right? That's what the government has come out and said. The one was a spy balloon. Now one says it was a research balloon by a hobby balloon people. And then this other balloon, they still can't. The other two balloons they can't find. The weather's too bad and the land is too vast in Alaska, so we can't find the other balloons. And I don't think they found the balloon in Lake Huron either.
I'm sure somebody's looking for it.
Right. And do you buy that it's a research balloon? Like all of a sudden, just these research balloons are like just coincidence that now we're finding them.
If it is a research balloon, my first question is, how do these billion-dollar planes with these pilots that have X amount of hours of training, you can't distinguish that? How much money have we expended? How much money did we spend to figure out that it wasn't? That's where my brain starts going. How much?
Like you shoot a $400,000 Sidewinder missile at this thing
at a rubber balloon.
You know what I'm saying?
Belonged to some kids from some university and somewhere.
And don't they have to like? You can't. Can we just send balloons up if you want to? Like you can't fucking fly a drone without a license. So like, are we not just like calling and saying, "Yo, we're like our balloons"? Just I mean, what if a plane hits one of these fucking things?
I can look into it. They have the weather balloons and stuff like that. The weather service sets up. Those are all tracked. They can follow the entire trajectory of where it's going. And then they try to get them into the upper levels, because like commercial flights, I think, are some like the commercial flights, like the low 40s, like 41, 42, like maybe 45,000 for like a private jet or something like that. But once you get above there, then you're in the like military jets and spy, like anything above that, you should be good. And then that lower transition stuff, as long as it's around the cities or the big, like around the airports, is where the main transition stuff is. So. But yeah, all that stuff is.
Now we've got all these balloons flying at 26 to 40,000 feet.
Yeah,
and that's like unprecedented. Like we haven't seen this before.
26 is low. That's low enough that you like at 40,000 feet a balloon, you're not going to see it. But at 26,000 feet, you'll be able to see that.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for the Biden administration, to be honest with you. Like pretty embarrassing, and that whole thing's got to be embarrassing. And you've got to know that that's got to have some kind of effect going into elections coming up, because you allowed a balloon to fly across protected airspace, like airspace that's a lot of like military airspace. I mean, we went over some of our most sensitive areas in the country, and then we shoot it down in South Carolina. It's just not a good look, man. And it doesn't build a lot of faith in human, in Americans, right? Like I don't trust the government anymore. Now I don't even trust them to keep me safe. Like you can't even protect me from some kind of bizarro balloon that's flying over. Like what if this balloon had a nuclear device on it? What if it had like a COVID blanket? You know what I mean? Because
we talk about it's happening now, because for sure you can see the balloons. We see it. It's on camera in the news. But then they're saying that we've had balloons under the Trump administration too. But like, I'm sure stuff happens every day that we don't know about. Right. But once you start putting these things together, like, okay, is it just some random stuff every day, or is it something bigger? Are we being probed? Are we saying how far can we get? Because I mean, we all come from the same genes. We're all the same special kind of people. When you fart, it smells the same as everybody else. It's your shit stinks. Like no one's special. So to think that the government or somebody has some higher intelligence, it's not. We're the same C+ students.
Right.
It's like I just wonder. I wonder, because we were talking last week, and it started getting to where we were onto the rants, where there's kind of like it's so much right now. There's so
Yeah, I mean,
many
like I said, like right now, like if you maybe you should be worried about saving face a little bit, especially if, if I'm a Democrat, right? Like I feel like, okay, well, hey guys, we're not looking too good right now. There's a lot of memes being made of us. Like, I kind of felt that, during the Trump administration. Like I felt like there was a lot of stuff that we were doing that Republicans are putting their foot in their mouths, or, that I wanted more, right? Like I wanted more out of the party. Like, hey, like let's stop with these shenanigans and let's let's get ready to win an election. If I'm a Democrat right now, I'm sitting there going, you guys are making us look too good right now. Like maybe you guys should start trying to save a little bit of face, because you look at what's going on in Ohio with the train derailment. Now the media is doing what the media does, right? Like they're just fucking everything up. I've already yelled about it. I already freaked the freak out about it. Yes, last week. And now after I was able to comb through all the propaganda, I was able to pull up some real stats on train derailments. And train derailments are not that uncommon. Matter of fact, there's pretty much like 3 to 4 every single day. Most of them don't have any kind of, serious significant impact other than just the train got derailed. But, for example, in 2021, 8 people died from train derailments and 118 people were injured. Even though there was 1,627 train accidents involving passengers and cargo trains. So, it's
with the amount of trains that we move more freight than we do people on trains. We're probably one of the only nations that is like that, where everybody else in the world can move people on trains and mass transit and stuff. But we use a lot of freight, and like you were saying, what's a derailment? If it just comes off the tracks, is that a derailment?
Yeah. So most of these
cars,
like a big giant percent of these are derailments that are reported that happen like inside of a train yard and have way less than $100,000. Now, if it reaches $100,000 mark, it's called a serious incident. That it's and then if it goes up from there, you can get into catastrophic incidents. According to this derailment that happened in Palestine, Ohio, it is actually being considered not a catastrophic accident.
Well, that's why you can't get any FEMA help.
Right. So it's not, and they're very, I guess they're transparent. Again, it's the propaganda train. So you don't know what to believe, what not to believe, but it's being downplayed as like, this isn't a catastrophic event. The dilution is on our side. So they're saying that the air is so grandiose, like it's so big, the atmosphere is so large and huge that these are just minuscule particles after even a few hours because dilution is our friend. And that there is there was an effect that 3,500 fish have reportedly died in the local waterways, but now dilution by water, that we shouldn't see any more of those deaths. Nobody's really touched on the amount of birds that have died. And I've seen some crazy videos, who knows if they're real, about birds like littering parking lots and being dead. But right now they're saying that there isn't any potential hazardous air right now. And so everybody's being able to go back to their house. There's no long-term risk to health. We just said that there was long-term health risks in stoves. And now you want me to believe that there's no long-term health
from just natural gas that we've had in our houses for how long?
Right. So, who knows what to believe and who knows, but now they're saying that they're safe. And what they recommend now is that you still drink out of a bottled water. However, you should open up all the windows in your house and clean and then clean your house. Now, if I'm the president, though, I'm making some speeches about this, right? Like,
this is a perfect opportunity.
Right, to save face. But he doesn't. He goes to Ukraine. I don't have a problem with Ukraine, right? Because maybe the problems in Ukraine, especially since Putin just announced that he's not going to sign this, that he's not going to re-sign this pact that the United States had where they were able to inspect each other's nuclear weaponry, which I think is really weird because we're not letting Putin inspect our nuclear armament.
And we're not getting full look up that skirt either.
And, we're not going to school it. Yeah, exactly. So, like, I don't even know what that pact, like, I guess it's significant, but at the end of the day, like, who's being honest? Nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Or it could be just a puff of the chest, like, oh yeah, well, we have this, but we still have this. Just don't forget we have, like, it could be that too. But yeah, I don't know.
But still, you would think, right? I mean, if I'm a Democrat, right? If I'm a Democrat, like, I'm in my brain going like, okay, you guys don't want to put like a real statement out about this? Like, I mean, why? What's the point? If not, like, if what the news is saying is real, that it's been diluted, that it's completely safe, that this isn't even close to being Chernobyl, this isn't anywhere close to being Flint, Michigan, then why don't you get out there and say that? Fuck, dude, if I'm the president and I really believe that, if I believe the science on that, I'll tell my kid to get in the creek and I'll get in the creek with him. And we'll have like a little splashy fight. If you're saying that the creeks are now safe, prove it, bitch. Prove it.
Military, I was taught one of the couple of things that I've just been harped on is leaders lead from the front. You lead by example. You don't tell people what to do. You show them. You give them example. This is how this is safe because I'm doing this. Look, I'll put my weight of me behind it. There's nothing behind anything. They're like, oh, it's safe. And if it's not, there's no accountability on the back end for, hey, there's these thousands of people that are now needing this help that they're not getting because it's not classified high enough.
Right. Now, what's crazy about that is like we had a hurricane that was headed towards us, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago here in North Carolina, and it diverted. It turned into a tropical depression, which is less than a tropical storm. And it moved across the state. And there was some flood damage. There was some flood damage in some of the low-lying areas. But really, because it moved south so quickly that it did not hang over, the rain was embarrassing. Growing up in Florida, that was an embarrassing storm. I've had thunderstorms that cause more water damage than this storm. And they rolled out the disaster relief, FEMA, for tropical depression. But you're not going to roll FEMA out for this town?
This seems like a no-brainer.
Right? Like, to save at least face, just do it. What is it? Like, what's...
I mean, not even... We won't pretend that we care about the people there for a second, just from the political
here's the thing is, I
bet
bet you that's why they don't do it. I'm saying if they roll out FEMA, then they say, well, if we roll out FEMA, then it proves that this is a disaster and it's not a disaster.
Yep. I think that there's...
But how is it not a disaster? Like, you had to evacuate an entire town. Like, that means your economy shut down for an entire day. North Carolina's economy shut down for 1 day during that tropical depression, and that was it. And they rolled out FEMA. So the economy in that area shut down for the entire day, and you don't want to give them some kind of future grant
or help them out with you're telling them that they got to drink water, like open your window. I don't like, it might be warm enough there right now to run with your shirt off this morning, but you're not leaving your windows open in your house all night, are you?
Yeah, I am. Our windows are open right now.
But you're like in the upper 50s, lower 60s, right?
Yeah. I mean, last night it was 69.
Yeah.
At 11 o'clock.
Northeast Ohio is not.
Yeah, right.
They're just, they're a nut hair away from lake effect snow.
Why are we opening our windows? Like, I mean, I feel like and there are any particles, now they're getting into your house.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know.
Anytime, like, every day is just reaffirming that anything the government says, you just don't believe, or just take it with a grain of salt and say, okay, if we can prove what you're saying, then okay. Then if not, then it's just in one ear and out the other. But instead of being in Ohio, he goes to Ukraine.
Yeah, and like I get it. Maybe the shit in Ukraine is really important right now, and that things are escalating. Look, I'm already calling it, dude. Like, Ukraine is not going to be Ukraine come April. Definitely not come May. So, like, I'm not sure what we're holding on to at this point. Like, that shit's going to be done with here pretty quick, and it's ramping up. And so I get that's important. But if I'm a Democrat, I'm losing my mind right now going, y'all can't say anything. You can't say something. Just say something to these people so that they have some kind of sense of comfort. because when you don't say something, all we can do is speculate. And that's where all these conspiracy theories, and that's why news media outlets, to include Fox News, are now starting to report on every train derailment that goes on in the country. Why doesn't the president get out there and say, hey, listen, there's 3 to 4 train derailments every single day? Are we just gonna lose our minds every time a train derails now for the rest? Because that's what we do, right? Like, cops get engaged and uses of force all the time, but when we think it's cool, then we're gonna make it the new hot topic. And right now, train derailments are that new trendy hot topic. But it takes a real leader to get ahead of that and kind of squash that rumor mill and say, like, look, here's what's really going on in Ohio. My guess is they don't know what's going on in Ohio.
Or it's not like we have a Secretary of Transportation. What's up with that
thing? What do you call him? What's up with they?
Pete Buttigieg. He's always on vacation. And when everything
isn't
like
the other one though? Like, what's the other one? Isn't the other one like a furry or some shit?
Was it him or was I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. But if we're triaging stuff and we're saying that Ukraine is more important than Ohio, we still need to send something. We have a transportation secretary. Where is that? We have the governor of Ohio has been talking about it, but where is nobody else is help? Like, this is a perfect opportunity for political people to be political, but at the same time, they need some help out there.
Well, Buttigieg put out about an hour ago. This is from the Washington AP. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg sent a letter Sunday to the CEO of Norfolk Southern, warning that the freight rail company must demonstrate unequivocal support for the people of East Palestine, Ohio, and surrounding areas after a fiery train derailment led to the release of chemicals, and residents expressing concerns about their health. So here we go. We've got this extremely poisonous gaseous substance that's been released into the air, and now by the railroad company. And now it's the railroad company. No, bitch, you get in FEMA, you get in like all these other people, they clean it up, and then they send a bill to the railroad. Because what do you think the railroad's going to do?
They're not going to do it. They're doing what they're doing right now.
They're going to put on a little fan and be like, yeah, we did. Yeah,
damage control. That's all it is. They're trying to limit the amount of money that they have to spend on this.
Norfolk Southern must live up to its commitment to make residents whole, and must also live up to its obligation to do whatever it takes to stop putting communities such as East Palestine at risk, Buttigieg wrote. This is the right time for Norfolk Southern to take the leadership position within the rail industry, shifting to a posture that focuses on supporting, not thwarting, efforts to raise the standard of U.S. rail safety regulation. Governor Mike DeWine said Friday that the chemicals that spilled into the Ohio River are no longer a risk, even as the people in the community say they have constant headaches and irritated eyes. The state plans to open a medical clinic in the village of 4,700 to analyze their symptoms, despite repeat statements that the air and water testing has shown no signs of contaminants.
Well, because it's just going to take enough time, because all that water gets down to the Ohio River, and then that gets down to the Mississippi River. So it'll get when Chernobyl happened, because that's what they kind of talked about. Like, they keep referring to, like, is this the U.S. Chernobyl? It's not Chernobyl, but how we're able to figure this stuff out is they're not giving the accurate information out. Somebody else is like, yeah, this is what's really going on. And then they're going back and like, oh yeah, this is what happened. That's what's really going on. And it's like they're not really, they're in damage control right now. That's all they're doing. This for sure has nothing to do with the railroad workers in December wanting to go on strike. So because I remember all of like late last year, that was one of the things that was kind of in the news was the railroad workers and there's a contract deal and strike. So in December, they voted 18-15 to impose a tentative contract deal that reached in September with a dozen unions representing 115,000 workers from the railroads who would have gone on strike on December 7th or December 9th.
Right.
One of the things that they were trying to get was pre-approved sick day leaves. But but you've got the people that are there, they want to go on strike. So I don't know any place else that you've worked in your past, but if if the consensus is we want to go on strike, you're not getting up and getting your cup of coffee with a chipper smile on your face going into work going, I want to do a great job at work today. You're
Right.
thinking about going on strike. So do you have the railroad? I'm not blaming anything. I'm just trying to, you could put a bigger picture on things. Like the writing's on the wall with a lot of things, like with the railroads, with our transportation, with the country in general. You can look at the writing on the wall and we can either, I mean, we can, all we can do is just try to prepare as most as possible.
Yeah. It's a fun time to be alive, right? Like the news is entertaining. There's something to get into every week. It's like, who needs sitcom TV when you have, the last two administrations? I mean, there's always something. I mean, like my biggest fear when Trump left office was we're not going to have anything to meme about anymore. We're not going to have anything to talk about. News is going to die because literally they've invested their whole life. They put all their eggs in the Trump basket. And now he's gone. What do you do now? Of course, they kept him in the news as much as they could because that's all they had. They were a one-trick pony. And another part of me is like, are we just making shit now to like talk about? Like, are these balloons even real, or are we just making news so that we have something to boost ratings? Because now everybody's back in the news. We went months where I was like, man, does anybody watch the news anymore? Now everybody's starting to tune back into the news because there's so much to talk about. We've got a little war going on in Russia and Ukraine. We've got Chinese spy balloons going on. We've got we got the Palestine, Ohio train leaks. We got train derailments. We got cops beating that ass. I mean, big media is back, baby. Big government's back. Big media is back. Big war's back. All the bullshit that we didn't have during the Trump administration, it's all back now.
Election season is going to be coming up. So my thought was the difference between Trump memes and Biden memes, the Trump memes were like kafifi.
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
who didn't get to go home over their kafifi meme? Whereas the one meme from Ohio is when you go, what do you do in Ohio? And it's a picture of this train wreck and it says leave.
Yeah.
So like we still have memes, but in these memes, like communities are destroyed.
Right.
Like, and we just meme on it because we know we're just, okay, it's another community off the map.
Right. Yeah, we got another Flint, Michigan, And
I
think it's crazy though. It's like, in one hand you say that something small, causes cow farts fucking ruining the ozone. And they make a huge deal about cow farts. And then they just completely downplay the train derailment. And I get maybe the train derailment, I mean, it happened, right? We can't all just freak out about it. And maybe they are telling the truth. But I think like I said, again, if I'm a Democrat, I want the president to speak about this. I want the president to actually act like he cares about this because I feel like, they're doing the very lawyer, like plead the fifth type thing. And that's not good for anybody.
If we just don't talk about it, it'll go away.
Right.
But
But at this point, it's embarrassing to the country. What's going on in this country is embarrassing. It's not good. And whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, like you're embarrassed to be an American right now. We're not the top leader country. We don't have the pride that we once had. The Super Bowl shows suck. They all suck. Like, I don't care if she did a great job or she did a good job. It's still shitty to have her for the fucking Super Bowl. Like, why isn't like Metallica or Iron Maiden or like something that, like Lil Wayne or somebody that like gets you jacked up, for football? Like, why do we got to listen to Rihanna? Like, no football player listens to Rihanna before he goes out there on the field and grinds it out,
Yeah, I don't know. It's there's a lot of, I just don't watch stuff. I just don't.
I mean, the Grammys, I used to love that shit. I used to love it.
I remember because we were just like yesterday, actually, I was flipping through YouTube and an old Conan video. It was a Conan opening to, it's a 2006 or 2008 Grammys, one of those two. But you know how they used to do those like long opening stints where they'd have like Conan or the host would be involved with like all the TV shows that were on that year. So that whatever that season was, he showed up in Lost, he showed up in The Office, he showed up in but he had like Breaking Bad, they had the cast members. They were like, I remember watching that. I was like, man, those times are good. Like you don't get that stuff anymore.
No. But what we do get though is on Wednesday, April 12th, the meetup in Raleigh, North Carolina, or just outside of Raleigh in Clayton, North Carolina. A lot of people are getting the hotel rooms, man. It's going to be a big event. So it starts at Instill Distilling Company from 5 to 8, live music, drinks at the distillery, and then a private meetup back at the studio from 8 to 10. And so we'll have like some free snacks and food and free beer and wine and everything for everybody. And you get to hang out. Drew Breezy, myself, Deadleg, Jonathan Bates, Andrea Uplate, Ashley Tansey will all be up on stage doing a big Q&A. We'll have some stand-up comedy stuff. It's going to be a fun night. If you want to come to this meetup, Hydro Man Blue says, what's the hotel? It is the Comfort Suites in Clayton, North Carolina. Comfort Suites in Clayton, North Carolina. We do have security on hand. We do have people being shuttled back and forth. So, all those things you can kind of send us a DM on Failure to Stop's Instagram page and kind of get you on the list and get you with the group of people. But it is going to be a really fun event on April 12th. Also, hit up that Ghost Bed right now, baby. They're offering 40% off with this President's Day sale. It's out of control. Mental health starts with good sleep. And so, if you're a first responder and you're not on a Ghost Bed, baby, what are you sleeping on? What are you sleeping on? If you're getting a good sleep, you're a better person. If you're a better person, you're a better lover. If you're a better lover, you're a better cop. So it's really, truly an investment. Get you something to sleep on to make you a better human being. I had a great show today. I'm about to pack up this studio and head my ass to Virginia Beach. We will be at Coastal Edge in Virginia Beach. So hit up Coastal Edge. Check out my son's little kiosk with his buddy JB2. And go buy some merch. Go buy some Grommet Vomit merch on their behalf from the shops there. We're still working on some Failure to Stop stuff in the works here, but lots to come here on the Failure to Stop Network, man. Hope you enjoyed today's show. As for myself and Deadleg Media, Josh, guns up. Oh, wait a minute. Hydro Man Blue, Tactical Dude, Davey, always in the live chats. I like to say hi to Falconator. A lot of people in the chat today. Thank you guys so much. These were all paid members, paid subscribers. Bone Cold, Fleas Austin, and man, Will Cray. I hope to see all of you guys, you paid members. Some of you paid members. I'd love to meet you guys in person and hug. Just make sure when you get here, you don't fucking introduce yourself as Tactical Dude, because you'd be like, yo, it's me. And I'm like, who? And you're like, Tactical Dude. And I'm like, or no, I'm sorry. Introduce me by your Instagram handle. Don't be like, yo, it's me, John Braswell. And I'm like, I don't know John Braswell. And you're like, Tactical Dude. And then be like, oh, Tactical Dude. Fuck yeah, dude. What's up? Because I don't know your real names, man. I don't know your real names. All I know is your screen handle. So when you get to the meetup, save me the time of trying to go, who the fuck are you? Give me your screen handle, because I know you by your screen name handle, and then say, I'm Tactical Dude, John Braswell. I'm like, oh,
we need to get those "Hello, my name is" stickers, and we'll just write your screen name on it. Yeah. Hey, it's me, Rare Game of Ganglioch. I'm like, I don't know a Rare Game of Ganglioch. And you're like, oh, it's Honey Badger 369. I'm like, oh, Honey Badger 369. Got you, dude. All right, guys. Until next time, guns up. Giddy up.